I'm about to tell you something I've kept buried for 50 years. Something that's eaten me alive from the inside out. My name is Denise Smith. I'm 70 years old, and I'm done being silent. See, everyone thinks they know their neighbors. The sweet old lady down the street who brings cookies to the block party. The grandmother who volunteers at the church bake sale. That's me. That's who they see. But what they don't see, the girl who survived hell, the woman who was sold by her own husband, the mother who failed to protect her daughter from the same monsters. This is my story, and I'm warning you right now, it's not pretty, it's not comfortable, but it's real. And maybe, just maybe, it'll save somebody else from making my mistakes. So buckle up, because the truth is about to wreck you.
Detroit, 1961. I was 7 years old, with pigtails and a smile that could light up a room. My daddy used to say I was his little sunshine. Robert Smith, that was his name. He worked the assembly line at the Ford plant, came home every night smelling like motor oil and cigarettes, but he always had a hug for me. My daddy was everything good in this world. My mother, Catherine, she was everything dark. Now, I didn't understand it then. Didn't know that the special juice she put in her morning coffee was vodka. Didn't know that the way she looked at me, with pure disgust, wasn't normal. I just thought that's how mothers were supposed to be. By the time I was 7, Catherine was drinking from the moment she woke up till she passed out at night. And when she drank, she got mean, real mean. I remember one morning I'd spilled milk on the kitchen table, just a splash, nothing major, but Catherine, she grabbed my hair so hard I thought my scalp was gonna rip off. "You clumsy little brat!" she screamed in my face. Her breath reeked of alcohol and hatred. "You're the reason my life is garbage. You know that? The reason I'm stuck in this dump?" My daddy came running from the bathroom, shaving cream still on his face. "Catherine, let her go. She's just a child." "Yeah, well, she's your child, Robert. I never wanted her." I stood there, milk dripping onto the floor, trying not to cry because crying only made it worse, trying to be invisible, trying to be perfect, trying to be anything other than what I was, a burden. But here's the thing about being 7 years old. You think everything is your fault. You think if you could just be better, quieter, smaller, maybe your mama would love you. Spoiler alert, that's not how it works. 2 years later, on a freezing November morning, my daddy went to work like always, kissed me on the forehead, told me to be good for mama, said he'd bring me a candy bar on his way home. He never came home. Machine malfunction at the plant. The press came down wrong. My daddy saw it happening, saw 3 men in the danger zone, and he pushed them out of the way. Saved 3 lives, lost his own. I was 9 years old at his funeral. 9 years old, standing in a black dress that was too tight, watching them lower my daddy into the ground. And my mother, Catherine, stood next to me, swaying because she was drunk at her own husband's funeral. And you know what she said? "Well, at least the life insurance will keep the lights on." That was the day I learned that some people are so broken they can't see anything but their own pain, not even their child drowning right next to them. After Daddy died, things got worse. So much worse. By the time I was 12, I was basically running the house, cooking dinner because Mama was passed out by 3 p.m., paying bills with the welfare checks, doing laundry, grocery shopping, pretending to the neighbors that everything was fine. But
everything wasn't fine. Catherine started bringing men home. Random men from the bars. Men who looked at me in ways that made my skin crawl. Men who stayed overnight and were gone by morning. I learned to lock my bedroom door, learned to push my dresser against it every single night, learned to sleep with a kitchen knife under my pillow because one night, one of Mama's boyfriends tried my doorknob. His name was Carl. Greasy hair, beer gut, hands that wouldn't stop shaking. I was 13. I heard him outside my door, heard the knob turning, heard him say, "Come on, little girl, your mama's out cold, nobody's gonna know." I screamed so loud the neighbors called the cops. Cops came, Carl lied, said he was just checking if I was okay. Mama backed him up because she was terrified he'd leave. Cops left, and I learned that nobody was coming to save me. So, I saved myself. I got a part-time job at 15, lying about my age, working at a diner after school. Saved every penny. Started going to beauty school at night because I figured if I could learn a trade, maybe I could get out. Beauty school was my escape. Hair, nails, makeup. It was the only time I felt like I had control over something. Like I could take something ugly and make it beautiful again. If only I could do the same for my life. I graduated beauty school at 19, got a job at a salon on the east side, started saving money to move out, started believing maybe, just maybe, I could have a normal life. And that's when I met James Mitchell.
James walked into the salon on a Tuesday afternoon to get his mama's hair done for her birthday. Tall guy, nice smile, dressed clean. He watched me work and said, "You're really talented. My mama looks like a movie star." I blushed. Nobody ever complimented me. He asked me to dinner. I said yes, and for 8 months, James Mitchell made me believe in fairy tales. He had a steady job at Peterson Insurance Company. His family was normal. They actually ate dinner together and talked without screaming. He didn't drink. He didn't hit. He opened doors and paid for meals and told me I was beautiful. After a childhood like mine, normal felt like winning the lottery. When James proposed in the park by the river, got down on one knee with a little diamond ring, I cried. Happy tears, real ones. I thought I'd finally found safe harbor, finally found someone who'd protect me, finally found home. We got married in 1976. Small ceremony at the courthouse. My mama showed up drunk, naturally, made a scene about how I'd trapped a good man, how I'd probably end up just like her. I should have listened to that warning, should have seen the red flags, but I was 22 and desperate and so tired of being afraid. The first year was okay, not perfect, but okay. James worked his way up at the insurance company. I kept doing hair at the salon, building my clientele. We rented a little apartment in Dearborn, talked about buying a house someday, maybe having kids. And then James's boss started coming around for dinner. Richard Peterson, 50-something, silver hair, expensive suits, wedding ring he'd take off and put in his pocket when his wife wasn't around. He owned Peterson Insurance, had money, had power, had that look in his eyes that made me want to take a shower. The first time he came to dinner, he wouldn't stop staring at me, telling James how lucky he was, asking me questions about my beauty regime, letting his eyes wander places they had no business being. I told James I didn't want Peterson coming around anymore. James said I was being paranoid, said Peterson was a good man, a generous boss, said I should be grateful Peterson was taking an interest in our lives. That sick feeling in my stomach got worse. 3 months later, James came home with news that would break me in ways I didn't know I could still break.
James walked in the door that night with his tie loose and sweat on his forehead, even though it was February. He poured himself a drink, something he rarely did, and said, "Denise, we need to talk." I was folding laundry. About what? He couldn't look at me, just stared at his glass and said, "Peterson offered me the senior associate position." I smiled. "James, that's amazing. That's what you've been working toward." Yeah, it is. Triple the salary, benefits, company car, the whole package. So what's the problem? The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Finally, James looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before, something that made me want to run. "There's a condition." "What kind of condition?" He took a long drink. "Peterson wants you." The words didn't make sense at first. Wants me to what? "He's attracted to you, Denise. Has been since the first dinner. He says if you spend one night with him, the job is mine." The laundry basket fell out of my hands. "Excuse me?" "It's just one night, just a few hours. Nobody has to know. And we'd be set for life." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what my husband, the man who promised to love and cherish me, was asking. "You want to sell me?" I whispered. "I'm not selling you. Don't be dramatic. I'm asking you to help this family. This is a huge opportunity, Denise. Do you know how many guys would kill for this position? Do you know how many husbands wouldn't prostitute their wives for a promotion?" James slammed his glass down. "Don't act all high and mighty. Your mother was sleeping with half of Detroit. It's in your blood." I slapped him, hard, watched the red mark bloom on his cheek. "Get out," I said. "This is my apartment too. Get out!" He left, slammed the door so hard the walls shook, and I collapsed on the floor and cried until I couldn't cry anymore. But here's the gut-wrenching truth. He came back the next day, apologized, said he was stressed, didn't mean it, loved me. And like a fool, like a desperate, broken fool, I forgave him. Because I didn't know where else to go. Because my mother was useless. Because I was terrified of being alone. Because somewhere deep down, I believed I didn't deserve better. James kept asking. For 6 months. Every week, he'd bring it up different ways. Think about our future. It's just business. Lots of women do this. Are you really going to let your pride ruin us? He wore me down like water on stone. I never did it. Never slept with Peterson. But the fact that I even considered it, that I let James make me feel guilty for refusing, that shame still lives in my chest. And then I found out I was pregnant.
Her name was Sarah. Born April 1978. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, perfect little fingers, perfect little toes, and lungs that could wake the dead. I genuinely believed that a baby would fix us, that James would stop with the Peterson nonsense, that we'd become a real family. Another mistake. James barely acknowledged Sarah, too focused on work, on kissing Peterson's butt, on climbing that corporate ladder. I raised her alone, worked at the salon 6 days a week, came home exhausted, took care of a baby while James sat on the couch watching TV. But I loved that little girl. God, I loved her with everything I had. When Sarah was 5, she asked me, "Mommy, why doesn't Daddy play with me?" I forced a smile and braided her hair. "Daddy is very busy, sweetheart, but Mommy loves you enough for both of us." Another lie we tell ourselves to survive. Sarah grew up watching her father ignore her and her mother accept it. She grew up in a house where love was conditional and respect was non-existent. She grew up learning all the wrong lessons about what she deserved. And then, when she was 16, my worst nightmare came true. Sarah came home late one Friday night. Her clothes were torn, mascara running down her face, eyes that looked dead inside. I knew that look. I'd seen it in my own mirror. "Baby, what happened?" She couldn't speak, just collapsed in my arms and sobbed. Eventually, she told me, party at a rich kid's house, boys from her school, alcohol, pressure, things she didn't want to do but felt like she couldn't say no to. My baby girl, 16 years old, same age I was when men started seeing me as prey. I took her to the hospital. We filed a police report, sat through invasive exams and horrible questions, and cops who looked at her like maybe she'd asked for it. Nothing happened to those boys. Their parents had money, lawyers, connections. We had nothing. Sarah changed after that. Got hard. Got angry. Started looking at me with blame in her eyes. And honestly, she was right to blame me. Because I hadn't protected her. Hadn't taught her to be strong. Hadn't shown her how to stand up. Because I'd spent 20 years not standing up myself. When Sarah turned 20, she confronted me, packed her bags, stood in our living room, and finally said what I'd been too scared to say my whole life. "You never fought for me, Mom. You never fought for yourself. You just took it. All of it. Dad's garbage, Peterson's garbage, your own mother's garbage. You just took it. And you taught me to do the same. Sarah, please." I'm moving to California, getting away from this toxic mess, and I'm going to therapy. Because I refuse to end up like you. The door slammed. My daughter was gone. And she was absolutely right. My mother died 5 years ago. Liver failure. 73 years old. Drank herself to death. Died alone in a nursing home where I visited once a month out of obligation, not love. I stood at her funeral and felt nothing. Then felt guilty for feeling nothing. But when I cleaned out her apartment, I found her journals. Boxes of them, entries going back 40 years. I read them all in one sitting. Turns out, Catherine had her own demons. Her mother had beaten her. Her father had done unspeakable things. She'd gotten pregnant at 19, married my father out of desperation, resented me for tying her down. Her journals said, "I look at Denise and I see myself, and I hate her for it. I hate that she'll probably end up just like me. I drink to forget. I drink to disappear. I drink because it's the only thing that makes the pain stop." 3 generations of broken women, all trying to survive the only way we knew how. I filed for divorce from James when I was 66 years old. after 43 years of marriage. He didn't fight it. By then, we were strangers living in the same house. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment with my cat, Rosie. Started working part-time at the salon again because, honestly, I still love doing hair. And I called Sarah. Baby, I need to say something. I need to tell you I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't stronger. That I didn't teach you to fight. That I let fear control me for 50 years. Silence on the line. Then, Mom, I'm sorry too. I said terrible things. You said true things, sweetheart. Mom, I'm in therapy. Have been for 3 years. I'm dealing with stuff. That's good, baby. That's really good. I'm a real estate agent now. Did I tell you that? Just closed my biggest sale last month. And Mom, I'm dating someone. Someone good. Someone who respects me. Tears streaming down my face. I'm so proud of you. Will you come visit? Will you meet him? I'd love that. Sarah asked me to do therapy with her, joint sessions to unpack our shared trauma. 2 years of sitting in uncomfortable chairs, crying, yelling, finally being honest. The therapist asked me once, Denise, what do you want Sarah to know? I looked at my daughter, my beautiful, strong, fierce daughter. I want you to know that my weakness doesn't have to be yours, that the cycle stops with you, that you're braver than I ever was, and I'm sorry I didn't show you how to be brave sooner. Sarah reached over and held my hand. Mom, you survived. That took courage. Surviving isn't the same as living, baby. You taught me that. So here I am, 70 years old, living in a small apartment with a cat and a shelf full of books I never had time to read. Working part-time because it turns out I genuinely love making people feel beautiful. Sarah got married 2 years ago to a man named David. He's kind, he's patient. He looks at her like she hung the moon. They have a daughter now, my grandbaby, Emma. She's 7 years old, same age I was when I stopped smiling. But Emma, she smiles all the time because Sarah is teaching her things I never learned, that her voice matters, that her body belongs to her, that no means no, even when someone insists, that she can be loud and messy and imperfect and still be loved. Sarah broke the cycle. My daughter did what I couldn't. I wasted 50 years carrying shame that didn't belong to me. My mother's addiction, James's betrayal, Peterson's predatory garbage, the men who saw me as less than human. I carried guilt that was never mine to carry. But I'm 70 now, and I'm finally putting it down. So here's what I need you to hear. Whoever you are, watching this, listening to this, the shame doesn't belong to you. The abuse doesn't define you. And it's never, ever too late to choose yourself. I should have left James at 23. I left at 66. Both were the right time because I finally did it. I should have stood up for myself 1,000 times. I stood up once. That once mattered. You can't change the past, but you can refuse to let it write your future. My name is Denise Smith. I'm 70 years old. I'm a survivor. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. And for the first time in my entire life, I'm free. And if I can find freedom at 70, So can you.